Hello everyone, welcome back to another great episode of Raihana's Cuisines. Today we're going to be doing a very simple recipe. I have got endless amounts of requests to do a simple roti. And basically roti is an Indian flatbread that's made out of wheat flour. Now, I'll show you the way we make them and I'll explain to you why we do it that way. For the ingredients, we are going to be needing 2 cups of wheat flour, and then I have about half a cup here that we might need for when we start rolling it out. We might need to sprinkle some on top. So for the recipe itself, you just want 2 cups of wheat flour. You're going to need 1 cup of lukewarm water, and then if you want to add a pinch of salt in it, you can. And then we're also going to be adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here. Now I know I'm going to get a lot of people saying, no, we don't add oil in our rotis. And I'll explain you why we add oil in our rotis. You don't have to, but the reason why is if you're going to make your rotis and think you're going to eat them all the same day, don't add the oil in there because you don't need it then. But if you're going to make a bunch, or if you're going to make, like I made a trial version yesterday and I made 10 of them. And we basically had 8 of them, and then we had 2 for breakfast, and I had 1 little one left which I saved because I want to show you the softness of that roti. And so that is why if you think you're going to have leftovers and you want the next day for it to stay really nice and soft, or if you're planning to even freeze it, which they freeze very well up to 3 months, then I would highly recommend adding the 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. And you can do any oil, doesn't only have to be olive oil. Now also, if you want to go ahead and add a pinch of salt in here, you can. I don't need to. We are just used to eating it without the salt, so I'm going to leave it out. So we're also going to need a little bit of ghee here that I have, homemade ghee. I have a video of how to make that. If you want to watch, I'll put a link there. And this we're going to use just to brush the rotis on top when they are completely cooked. I think I've covered all the ingredients. So now what we'll do is we're just gonna mix the oil and the flour together. This is how I make it. Now I'm telling you, there's so many ways people make rotis. I mean, everybody has their own way of making it. Some people also add or don't. Some people just don't add. Some people add half wheat, half white. I mean, there's just so many ways. So there's really no right way or wrong way of doing it. It's just I'm going to show you the way I do it, and I'm going to try and make it as simple for you as possible. So if you're doing this for the very first time, if you want to learning, and I've had a lot of people that want to learn how to do this, so I'm going to show you the most simple way of doing this. Now you're going to need the whole cup, but I'm still not going to add the whole cup of water in here. You're going to need the whole cup, and I'll tell you the reason why you're going to need the whole cup is because you want your dough not to be very soft, but also not to be very stiff. So I've made this 3 or 4 times trying to find out exactly. I wanted it to come out exactly right for you guys. So I've really honestly made it 3-4 times to come up with, because to tell you the truth, if you've watched my other videos, I don't measure when I cook, when I'm not doing my YouTube videos. But for you all, I'm going to make sure that it comes out absolutely perfect. Now, we might need to add just a couple more drops of water in it when because you want to make sure that we're going to get all this together, and then we're going to knead this dough for about 5 to 7 minutes. I have a mixer. I could have done it in the mixer, but I'm doing this because a lot of people don't have a mixer. So if you have a mixer, I would just do what I did here and make sure that you mix it for about 5 to 7 minutes until the dough is beautiful, soft, and absolutely beautiful. So see, once I get this to come together like so, all right, we're gonna transfer that to somewhere where you can knead it. Now I'm gonna go get a measuring cup. What I want to do is I want to give you the exact measurement. So I'm going to fill my cup up with about 2 2 tablespoons of water. And I think we're gonna need the 2 tablespoons of water in here, the extra, because this is quite thick and it doesn't look like how it's supposed to look. So what you want to do is you just want to take some in your hands, add a little bit on there like that, and then you're going to start kneading it. And every time the dough becomes a little dry, you sprinkle a little bit more water in there, and then again you start kneading it. And again it's going to get dry, and we'll see if we need, because I already added 1 tablespoon, so we'll see if we need to add the other tablespoon in there. And the trick to making these rise really well is kneading it. If you're not gonna knead it really well, you're not gonna have it puff up. Now remember, I've been making these rotis since I was 14 years old. I would come back from school and we would have fresh rotis every day, and so I had to make rotis every single day. So I really didn't like to do that when the time was there, but now I appreciate what my mom made me do because it gave me that practice that I needed. So see how again we got the dough to be really, again it became a little dry, so again we'll sprinkle just a little bit more water on it, and again we're gonna knead it. So if you have a KitchenAid, to bind the dough in is amazing because then you don't have to do it. But also if you don't have a KitchenAid and you're gonna do it by hand, I'm telling you, you're gonna get a good workout in the kitchen because you're gonna be kneading this for about 5 to 7 minutes. And I'm not gonna show you the 5 to 7 minutes of kneading it because I'm sure you're gonna get really bored. But I'm just going to go ahead and show you a little bit more. We're gonna add. See how the dough is just soaking up the water? So I want it to have exact measurement. So the exact measurement will be of our water will be 1 cup and 2 tablespoons. So now I am going to continue kneading this, and I'm going to knead it for 5 minutes. When we come back, I'm going to show you how beautiful our dough is going to look like. Almost at my 5-minute mark, but I did want to show you how to knead it. Now there's a couple ways of how you can knead it. You can take your fingers, put it down, take your palm, push it in, turn it around, take your fingers, take your palm, again push it in, same thing, keep on doing it this way. Or the way I'm used to it is you take your dough, you take your 2 thumbs and you take a little bit of it like this and you just put it inside, and then you keep on doing that until you've got like a log, and then you again bring it back, and then you take your thumbs and again roll it, again bring it up just like so. And this is how you're gonna knead your dough really well. And this has worked for me for years and years and years. So, and you will also see that when you're kneading it, you will know the difference in the smoothness of your dough from the time you start till your 5-minute mark is up. I'll show you. Look at this. Look at how beautiful the dough looks. It's really nice, soft, it's shiny, and really good. When you press it, it doesn't, you know, it's not like going in right away. It's taking a bit to press it in. So that's about it. So what I am going to do is I'm going to let this dough rise for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes. And before I let it rise, I'm going to go ahead and cut it because so that when we come back, all we have to do is start rolling these out. Now my measurement for the rotis is for 2 cups of flour, I usually yield about a good amount of about 10 rotis. So we'll see, and I'll make the little rounds in just a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they don't have to be all like completely the same. But then I also, completely optional, is I take a little bit out from each of them, so I have 10.5, because when we were growing up, my mom would always make sure that the youngest would have a little one. So, and that one is right here, and I'll show you. This was I made yesterday. Okay, so what you want to do is, they should be around the same. You should feel them. And if you feel like this one's smaller than the other one, take a bit out of that one and you should be good to go. All right, so this is the way you want to do it. You want to take it, you want to roll again, just like that, from the sides in, from the sides in, from the sides in, bring everything together. Let me take my gloves off, maybe you'll be able to see better. Okay, so we got this one done. And this is how I usually do it. So what I do is I add my flour on here, the extra flour. I'm going to dip it in the flour just like that, and we're going to leave it aside. Again, let's do one more. You want to take this, flatten it, bring it in, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're almost there. Now just bring everything up together, just like so. If you have extra dough, you can just pinch it off, but I think we have our good amount of rounds, or you could even go just like that. You'll have a really nice round dough with no cracks, nothing. And then again, we are going to dip it into our flour and keep it aside. Now I'm gonna continue doing these, but in the meantime, I want to show you. This was the little one that I made. All the big ones got eaten. But to eat this the next day, they are super soft, super soft. And I'll show you, like, see how we had, some of them bubbled, some of them didn't, but they still had the way it turns out is really, really light because it had the pocket inside. So, and I'll show you how to do that. But I just wanted to show you that that's the difference from putting oil inside of your rotis. So let me go ahead, finish doing all my rounds, and then when we come back up after about 25 to 30 minutes, we'll go ahead and we'll start making our rotis. It's been 25 minutes and we let this dough rest. Now, I just had a cloth over it. And you can see here that all of these that we have made are done. Okay. And then I have some extra dough sitting here. I'm going to show you, first one I'm going to show you is the way I make it. But then don't be worried, because I'll show you a couple of different pointers on how to actually, I really need my wooden board, because sometimes what happens is when you're doing it on the granite, it doesn't turn as easily as you would want it. My grandma always used to say that the middle gets done, but the sides always remain thick. So you always have to make sure you come around and get your sides done. So I'm not going to make it very big, because the thing with rotis is you want to have a handle on them. And if they're really, really big, it's hard to get a handle on them. So then I'm going to get my plate and I'm going to just start stacking my rotis on top of one another. Now, they're not going to stick on top of each other, I promise. So let's do another one, and I'm going to show you a couple tricks if you are just beginning how to make your rotis. I would say first knead it straight, turn it around, knead it this way, not knead it, roll it, sorry, not roll, knead it, but then roll it again going this way, again turn it, and then see, now you have a big enough circle, see that? And we didn't do anything, we've just gone, we haven't done anything else with it, we've just been turning it, and it's coming out a bit rounder. Okay, now if you want, if it's your first time, you can stop now. Now the other thing you can do, the other thing that I do is I hold my rolling pin, I have my rolling pin like this, and then the other hand I have it like this. So what I'm doing is I'm turning it, it's just, and I'm letting it glide. I'm not putting too much pressure on it. I want it to turn. So again, put your hand straight, and you let this hand just glide. And you want to glide it, but you want to put the pressure a little bit on your right hand. That way, the control of the pressure that you're putting is in your hand. Because when you do it this way, you don't have that. This, I'm just letting it, see how I'm just letting it glide. I'm just letting it glide. Let the rolling pin do its thing. Don't put too much pressure on it. All right, and look at how of a circle we got it without even turning it the way I did it the first time I made it. I'm going to show you one more time. You know, you want to make sure that you dip it in flour like so. Now make sure so you've got enough flour on it. Then pat it down. All right, take your rolling pin, put both hands on it. One, turn it around. Two, turn it around. Three, turn it around. Four, one more. Five. All right, now if you don't think that it's good enough circle for you, then do what I told you. One hand over here, you want to hold this where it'll just glide. Let it glide. Put the pressure a little bit where the rolling pin is coming over to the right like this. So you're rolling it. See, you're rolling it over like so. Keep on, put a little bit of flour on there, just sprinkle a little bit so you can turn it. It's easier for you to turn. And then palm, turn, turn, turn. And if you think one side is thicker, just roll it a little bit more. See? And then you'll, and this is just practice, just a lot of practice. So the more you make rotis, the more you're going to get the confidence of making these and them turning out. But if you didn't want to do the method that I told you to do and you wanted to do the traditional method, I would still get it where it's a good circle like this, and then go ahead, roll it. But again, this side is always going more pressure on this side, so this is making it turn. Okay, now you can see that it's sticking on the bottom. Sprinkle some dough on there. Okay, now again, I'm just going to come over and make sure, because I'm telling you, if my rotis were thicker on the ends, my grandma would almost be turning in her grave, because that was one thing that she would get so irritated about was, you know, anybody can make rotis go in the middle, be really nice and thin, but you gotta have the sides the same the same amount of thickness. So what I am going to do is I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to finish these up. When we come back, I'm going to show you two ways that we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this on a pan, and then we'll also do it on the gas, and I'll show you how that works. Now I'm going to be doing this on my stovetop. The stovetop that I have for on the table, it just doesn't have as much heat for the rotis to turn out really nice. So I'm going to be doing it on my stovetop. Now I want to show you, I have one of these. These are useful if you want to do this on top of the gas stove where it rises. And these are readily available in all the Indian stores. I bought it. I use it once in a while, to tell you the truth. I don't like using it very much, just because I like my rotis to have some color on it. Not color, but the little brownish on it. When you put it on the gas, it doesn't get that on there. So we'll turn that on later. You just want this one. We want this one to be really nice and nicely heated. Now, this is another thing that is readily available in the Indian store. You don't really need it. I use it once in a while, to be honest with you. I use my fingers, but if you're an amateur at this, the best thing to use is one of these spatula things. And this is 600-degree proof, so it's not going to burn on you. So don't use a regular spatula. And keep everything that you're going to need near you. So we've got our rotis here. Look at how beautiful they turned out. And don't be discouraged if yours don't turn out all that one size. I've been doing it for, I don't want to say, but since I was 14. So I've been doing it for lots and lots and lots of years. So now mine just turn out that way. You'll just, if you're getting started, give it time. It will get that way. And then I also have a plate here that we're going to be putting our rotis. And then I have here the ghee here that I've melted just a little bit, so it's easier. And I love this brush because then you don't put too much on there. Now, when you hold your hand over the tawa, that's when you know that it is really nice and hot. So at this point, you take your roti and just put it on. I'm not going to edit this video at all because I want you to see exactly how this is working. I want you to get a very close shot of this, and hopefully we have good lighting here. Now you're going to see little bubbles coming up. Do you see that? You can see some. See those? You don't want to cook this very much. See just those little bubbles? That's enough. So now I'm going to turn it. I'll also do it with a spatula. So you guys if you don't want to touch it, you don't have to touch it. Like I said, I've been doing it for years. Now the bottom, we want to get, you see these bubbles here? You see it? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're getting all these little bubbles. So when I said if you want to use this, that's how I use it. Just take it and you want to turn it. But you want to get some brown bubbles on the bottom. That's going to give us the jump start of it really puffing up. Now, do my rotis puff up all the time? No, they don't puff up all the time. Do they puff up sometime? Yeah. But if your rotis doesn't puff up, there's nothing wrong with it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You'll get it. It's all about just getting it and knowing it how to, see how it's already broken here? I'm just going to hold it and okay, just going to turn it around. Make sure there's some color on the bottom before I take it off. You don't want to cook it too much. Okay, so we're going to take it off, put it down. I'm going to give it a light coating of our ghee. just a light coating. Okay, now let's do another one. Usually by the second time, the tawa is really nice and hot. This is a Circulon pan that I got from, I don't know which store I bought it from, but I remember seeing it on sale. See, even has a red sticky on there for like $9.99. And I love Circulon. I just love that cookware. Not advertising for them at all. I don't get paid for that, but I've used so many different brands, but I love Circulon. So now, see how those bubbles popped up? I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna let it cook for just for a little bit until again we see some bubbles on the bottom. So if you're gonna do it with the spatula, turn it around. Just give it a light tap, just like that. By turning it around, it just helps getting it puffed up. See how it has the color? Now I'll show you. Let's turn the gas stove on, and I'll show you if we do it on the gas, the difference. Again, let's go ahead, put it down, add a light brushing of the ghee or clarified butter. Okay, now again, let's take one, put it on. And once you roll them and keep them down, it's really nice because what happens is it's just so much easier to start making them. So you can make a whole bunch by rolling them and keeping it, because then you don't need two people to help with making them. So again, we have those little bubbles. We're gonna turn it around. We're gonna wait till it gets just a little bit more bubbles. And for that, you're gonna need one of these to do it on the gas stove. So see how it has those little bubbles? Now we're gonna put it on the gas. Now, I'll show you why I don't like doing it on the stove. See, there isn't much color on them. Do you see that? Well, if you see this one, it's got really nice color on it. But that's just my personal preference. I mean, if you want to do it that way, that's perfectly fine. I wanted to show you how my grandmother taught us how to put the ghee on, and you know, she would always say, this is the color that I like on it. She would always say that you start putting the ghee on from the corners, because the corners is what is going to start getting dry faster than any other part of the roti. And then just don't put any more, because it's gonna melt. The sides are gonna melt, and then they're gonna start drizzling in the middle. So a little bit, but there's some of the pointers that I know that I feel like are helping me. I thought I would point them out to you. So I've got all my rotis done, and I got about 20 out of it, and then I have my little one here for Sumaya. Like I said, it's like a traditional thing that we do. Now I'm gonna cut it open because I want you to see. And it's hot. Okay, So here it is. So you can see that it's got that little pocket in there. So it did rise, although if it doesn't rise all in one big poof, it rises on the left and the right, and then you see how it's got perfect. And so this was just such a basic, probably a long video. I don't know how long this is going to be. And if you are one of those that are an expert at making rotis, obviously this video was not for you. I wanted to do this one just because I had so many people requesting a very detailed video. So this is for all those that have been waiting for a detailed video. You can have this with anything. You can have it with either a vegetable curry, you can have potato curry, you can have it with pinto beans and coconut curry, okra curry. I mean, I can't tell you. You can just, or you can just sprinkle some sugar on there, roll it up, and that's the way we always used to get the hot rotis. Just put some sugar on there, roll it up, sit down and enjoy a hot roti. So these are soft. Soft, and they don't have any salt in it, but we like it like that. But they're super amazing, and you can always like just, you know, put it in such a way that they all kind of sit together really nicely. And if you're going to store these, very important that you want to store this is in an airtight container. I usually just store it in a Ziploc bag and make sure that it's really well closed. And if you're going to freeze them, I would first wrap them in foil, and then I would put them in the Ziploc freezer bags and then freeze it so you don't have any ice or anything built up in there. So this concludes our very detailed video on how to make roti. Very simple. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Raihana's Cuisines. Hope you can join me here next time with another great video. This video idea and request came from my uncle Ghulam Ali Ramtullah from Canada, and I've been meaning to do this video for you, and I just haven't had the chance to, but it's there, it's out there. So the next time I come to Canada, I want you to make these rotis for me.